What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to Terry's Theories. I am Terry. Alright guys, man, I hope y'all are doing great out there. I have no complaints here. Everything seems to be going fine for myself. I hope it's going just as well for you. Now I want to try something different. I want to share an email that was sent to me from one of our subscribers who says that he is an abductee, that he has been abducted several times in his life, starting as a child. He is now 55 years old, and he wishes to remain anonymous, and I'm just going to call him John. Now, John lives in England, and he has a theory about these spherical-shaped UFOs that everybody's witnessing. I've shown several videos of spherical or orbed-shaped UFOs. We've seen them on mountainsides. We've seen them on desert floors. We've seen them in the sky. There's been reports of this type of UFO all around the world. Now, John has a theory on these spherical-shaped UFOs, and I want to share this with you. But I want to share his experience with you to get across this point. Now, John said in September of 2018, him and his wife, doing their normal routine, head off to bed. After he goes to sleep, he is awoken. And John said, I was standing up. And it took me a moment to come around, or to figure out that he wasn't where he was supposed to be, in bed with his wife. He said, instead, I was standing in a spherical or bubble shaped in what I thought at first was a room, but soon came to realize it wasn't a room at all. It was a craft, and it was transparent. He could see the environment around him, and he said that I could see the desert floor. We were low to the ground, moving slow but gaining speed. I could see the desert floor moving beneath my feet, but I couldn't feel the wind hitting me in the face. He said that we were in a spherical-shaped object. I asked, well, John, were you dreaming? He says, no, I was wide awake. I was wide awake as I am right now at this very moment. He said that he kind of got lost in the beauty of the view that was going on around him. And then he realized that he wasn't alone. He said, right there in front of me, no further than 8 feet away, were two beings. They appeared to be two grays. He said he looked at him, he thought, well, should I say something? And he was kind of scared to say something. But, he said that he's been abducted several times. So he wasn't exactly freaked out by the situation. He was scared, but he was not terrified, if you know what I mean. And John goes on to say, I decided to say something to him. He said, I said something along the lines of, hey, mate. And he said, as soon as I spoke those words, the gray on the left, he said it appeared to be young, like a teenager or a young, somebody in their 20s, not a lot of experience. He said that's the vibe that he got from him. And he said it started to seriously freak out. Said it was running back and forth within the space between him and the two pilots. He said I kind of laughed at the way that this gray was freaking out. He says, talking about role reversal, I should be the one freaking out. And he said something along the lines of, hey, it's okay, calm down, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm not going to hurt you. It's kind of weird. He said it was kind of like role reversal, like I said. And he said the being that was in front of him, that was driving, he said he didn't speak with words. It was more telepathically. He said I could hear them in my head. And he says, okay, would you just stay where you are? Do not move. And apparently this has never happened, or very rarely happens, that one of the abductees will gain consciousness. And he said he started having a conversation with them, asking, why do you do this? Why are you abducting me? Why are you abducting people? And he said that they told him that, we're not allowed to tell you. And he also asked if they would allow him to remember some of his experience, and they told him, no, we're not allowed. John went on to say that, considering that he did remember some of the experience, either they allowed him as a gift from not, causing a crash or causing a bigger incident, or they made a mistake, being the fact that he awoke. Maybe that kind of messed up their process, and that was pretty much it. He said that he was either knocked out or subdued. He said, the next thing I know, I'm waking up in my bed. And he said a couple of days went past, and he was thinking about it, and then he said something just hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks, is what he said. He said, I remember coming out of a side of a cliff, or a side of a mountain, or a passageway that went into a mountain. And he said, I believe I was underground, an underground facility. Now, if you remember, back in the late 70s and early 80s, we had an engineer that worked for the government, and his name was Phil Snyder. Now, he was an engineer and a geologist that built these underground facilities for the U.S. government, known as DUMBs, deep underground military bases. And within those bases were supposedly alien entities that were doing all sorts of experimentations on human beings that were abducted. And John's theory on these spheres is that they are pretty much cattle cars. It's a shuttlecraft. It's small. It is being used to shuttle maybe abductees or other type of missions that need to be done on the planet. They're not interstellar vehicles. So he has a good solid theory on what these objects could be. Now, tell me your opinion on that. Tell me what you think. I mean, is that possible? I mean, usually when we see these spheres or orbs, they are small. And sometimes they're at a great distance, and we really can't get a proper size on them. Now, sometimes we do see them, what we think is close up, and they do look small, and they may not actually be a sphere at the size of what a personnel could fit into. I don't know, but he has a good solid theory on this. Now, back to the underground bases. Supposedly that these bases were produced for alien entities to do experimentation. Now, if you watch the video with Phil Snyder at the end of this one, he goes into detail and actually offers up some evidence of material that is supposedly not of this world. It's pretty compelling, his argument, or what he has to say. Now, another thing that John went on to say is that he's told his story before, and he shared it with family, he shared it with select people, and you would imagine the reaction, if somebody close to you was to tell you that this happened to them, how your reaction towards them would be. You would probably shy away or, distance yourself. I mean, I guess it really just depends on the individual. And so it takes a lot of courage to come out and tell your story of what happened to you. Now, you can choose to believe it, or you can choose not to believe it. I guess that's, really what it boils down to. I don't have any actual proof to show you. I just felt that his email was sincere, and I wanted to share that with you. Alright guys, so I guess I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate you watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. And I've got, if you like to donate towards the channel, I've got PayPal and Patreon, and everything donated to the channel goes towards the channel. Thinking about adding some IR and some night vision to try to catch, something else, something to share with you guys. Alright guys, this is Terry with Terry's Theories. Terry out.
These bases are basically large cities underground, connected by high-speed magneto-leviton trains that have speeds up to Mach 2. According to Phil Schneider, the black budget is a secret budget that garners 25% of the gross national product of the United States. The black budget currently consumes trillions of dollars per year. Presently, there are over 129 deep underground military bases, or DUMBs, in the United States. These underground bases were built using nuclear-powered laser drills that can drill 7 miles per day. Also, dedicated nuclear explosions were held to create large underground spaces. A lot of contractors work in these places, but never more than 3 to 4 weeks, always under strict supervision, and before entering a site, they are warned that if they talk about what they see, it will cost them their lives.
I'm Phil Schneider. I spent 17 years in black budget programs, government geologist, as engineer, structural engineer with aerospace applications. Up here I have different artifacts. Some of them are alien metals that have been produced both on this planet and the confines of outer space that are now used in all stealth aircraft. All stealth aircraft, for instance, all black jets, what you're seeing of black helicopters and the like. The skins and the coatings and the residues that are used predominantly in the aircraft themselves, in the airframes and the rotor blades and the fans, and in some cases in submarines, special titanium hulls, in the Phoenix class submarines now. All this has come from alien technology. 1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. Now, Army cavalry evidently were chasing some bandits, and they entered this cave. They were holed up in a cave, and what they found in there was flying discs and little gray guys and all kinds of weird things, and they didn't know how to explain that, and they wrote them down as best they could, and it's been in secret archives ever since. This is down by the Truth or Consequences area of New Mexico. Well, the alien thing is more than just what I'd call a non-visible threat. We on the surface, first of all information dealing with alien or alien reproduced technology or alien reproduced vehicles or any other kinds of things, well hidden from the American public. Our black budget, for instance, garners $1.023 trillion every 2 years. It's over $500 billion a year. Right now, there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. Each one is built in the site. It used to be it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year with sophisticated methods. My colleague Al Bielik has actually been on some of the high-speed railways the magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train and floats off of a single rail at a 3/4 of an inch off the rail, and is what you'd call high tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. The public basically has been totally lied to. We're considered stupid or even moronic in some cases. It's got to stop. If we're to gain our country back, we must, and I repeat, must we must instill in our public officials, anybody that goes and does public service, they must tell us the truth. If they cannot do this, then they must be impeached, or they must be removed from office. If this cannot occur, if the truth cannot totally come out, there are reasons for secrecy, for instance, but if the truth cannot totally come out, what's the use in us having anything called freedom? Okay, now I have pictures here that I'm going to show you during the break in artifacts, and I ask you to kind of look at them but not handle them. I have actual crashed retrieval metal from Roswell, New Mexico. It was given to me when I was 14 years old. For instance, I've got other things. I've got pieces of this piece of titanium, a special titanium alloy made for everything from the original SR-71 Blackberry. That's old hat now. F-117As, they're old hat now. They're making a whole new class of hypersonic above Mach 5 aircraft. They employ extremely modern charged particle beam weapons. They don't even use lasers anymore. Computer-enhanced imaging radar, although it's used in helicopters for public surveillance, computer-enhanced imaging radar, and in satellite technology. The brand new kid on the block is a kind of infrared technology where a satellite 150,000 miles out in a geosynchronous orbit, or not quite geosynchronous orbit, but these spy satellites can literally look in and see a dime on the floor, say on your kitchen floor. They have a resolution factor of 99.999961. This particular piece of metal, I'm going to drop it on the floor here, it'll kind of ring like a bell. You can't break it. Withstand temperatures in excess of 7,500 degrees Fahrenheit. It has niobium in it. It also has mironite in it, element 123. Yeah, please do. It's in a non-crystalline form. This is just kind of a dripping out of the main crucible. Here's a crystalline example. It's in the scalenohedral crystalline form. We got this from the large grays technology. This is grown in the confines of outer space, which has not quite a super vacuum, but by the way, this is capable of withstanding temperatures in excess of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's great for certain parts of aircraft. This kind of material I work with on a daily basis. Up here we have a transparency of Groom Lake. Groom Lake is where the infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base, it was originally a bombing range, a nuclear test site. It was later become the most secret base in the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them work in the cover of darkness, like us. We built out 9 underground military bases there, each with an average capacity capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4¼ cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore, they literally vitrify and melt the rock, deflagrate the rock. It's a very sophisticated laser melting and deflagrating system. It reduces the rock to a powder and then melts the remaining rock as a coating on the inside of the base, so you don't have to use gunite cements and other kinds of things like that. That's all old hat now. technology. It's just basically the new technology we get is the old hat of the military. I'm going to be real brief about it. I carried a level 1 security clearance, the Rhyolite 38 factor. There are very few of us. There's nobody except myself, to my knowledge, talking like this. Nobody. I'm breaking the law. I'm breaking world as well as federal law. I'm coming out and even talking about this to a group of people. I love my country more than I love my life. 2 weeks ago, I was shot in the shoulder. I don't want to gore you women out, but I was shot in the shoulder up here. I recently have become friends of a retired FBI agent who took me under the wing. He says, I've never seen a person braver than you. And I said, well, there's more coming. Our patriot movement in these United States is going to pick up the ball, and we are going to kick the parasites out. First of all, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, a few other founding fathers, Patrick Henry to mention a few, all had visions that these United States is going to live 700 years from where they were standing, and that was somewhere around the late 1700s, early 1800s. So you can count this country. This country isn't going to go to a new world order. I believe firmly in constitutional law. I'm not very well skilled in it, and that's my embarrassment. But I'm going to be real blunt about it. The government that is now instilled in ruling over us are ruling as we're serfs and they're the kings and queens. Now, that's a feudal system. That isn't even a democracy. We are now being ruled by an autocracy and a technocracy. In other words, technical knowledge as rules as king, with a feudal-type system. Feudal systems haven't been used in the last 350 years, and they're coming back like gangbusters. If we are complacent, if we do not speak out in droves, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about a bunch of us getting together and getting on this stump and loving our country more than we love our lives, getting on, some of us are going to get killed. I almost got killed a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't been for an FBI, a retired FBI man who risked his life, his career, everything, put it all on the line, and he didn't know me from Adam. A week prior to that, he listened to one of my tapes I gave up in Post Falls, Idaho, and I'm going to be very blunt about, he said that we need a lot more of you, but unfortunately we're not getting anybody. Well, I'm not the best speaker in the world, but I'm trying to relay to you that we need to get out and seriously get the message out. These shows are great. This hall should be absolutely packed, standing room only, and we should be getting the message out to as many people as we can with as many shows as there is it possibly to reach. The many is the public. We ought to get on talk shows. We've got to get on news shows and TV shows, and we have to really get the message out. And I think we're doing it, but it's a little bit slow in the first part. That's just that part of what I want to say. In working with the black projects, I was very loyal. I was picked because I was very strong mentally. There's a bunch of us that were picked because we don't crack under pressure. We don't freak under pressure, so to speak. Everyday events don't bother us. Now, I was involved in something very controversial, almost totally unbelievable to most of you. Some of you are religious people. I think all religions have a time and a place, and they definitely have a place in America. Now, another thing I want to reach to you is that during the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down, we wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up, the gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for as best as believed possible about 400 or 500 years. It had been one of their internal bases. And we drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up, and well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really, all it started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build an underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die.